thing about walking into an empty shop is, it's a blank slate. Anything could happen. I've been thinking, dreaming, what could I possibly do? Bigger, better, weirder, more. A brand new perception of reality. Something in the great outdoors. The benefit of being in the television industry is you can have any kind of backdrop you want. You just call up the prop guy. It's like, hey, today I need like a dormant 10,000-year-old volcano in the backdrop. No problem. They set up these cardboard cutouts. It looks perfect. Now, over the years, I've had a lot of different shops, a lot of different backgrounds, if you will. It inspires absolute free thought wherever your brain takes you. And I gotta say, my brain is taking me to a peculiar place right now. Look at this fine piece of machinery. Didn't think I was gonna get rid of this one, did you? In my world, every project starts with a good pile of parts, all the potential, and stir it together. My envisioning process has led me to the conclusion that these tires are the appropriate tires for the project. You know what I mean? Right away, you start to imagine things. From a 25-inch tire to a 40-inch tire, and then whatever it takes to get there. That's all I have to see. It's a natural fit. What more is there to say? Don't get distracted by the details. I know that this Pinto has no drivetrain, and yes, the tires are taller than the hood, but I've got plans. This thing got taken out of commission. It was a roadie rig for bands. It pulled this huge stage, had a generator in it. I built it for my friend Rich years ago. When it went out of service, he's like, Ian, you gotta have the flame. The flame truck belongs on your ranch. But we're not here to talk about the flame truck. We're talking about what's inside, It's what's inside that counts. It's another gift from another friend. This one is from my friend John. He said, dude, that Pinto you're building, I'm feeling you. I got just the stuff. Once I start spreading the word about my cockamamie ideas, seems like people are all jumping on board. And as usual, someone steps up with just the right stuff. Right here is another example of good used trash. It's a 77 Dodge Ram chassis, full-time four-wheel drive. It's got a skyjacker suspension lift. It's got these cool shocks. It's got gears in it for big tires. Perfect for that Pinto project. Not everyone might see this as the ideal choice, I see this as the belle of the ball. This is exactly what I need for my Pinto mini monster truck. I got some parts, I got some plans, and a mind free of practicality. Let the shenanigans commence. This big idea of mine is gonna require some new tools to make it happen. My whole life has led up to this. It's my greatest aspiration. The old Benpack 10,000-pound lift. The lift for guys that wear big hats. Look at this. I'm a tall guy and I want to lift some heavy cars, so I went to Benpack. They're a local Southern California business. They got a great reputation. They make a ton of great products. It was a natural. No more working like this on a transmission. I'm 50 years old. My knees hurt. I don't want to lay under the car anymore. I could even keep my hat on. You know how I love that hat. Now that I'm looking at it, that looks like about ride height to me, but the lift still offers a bit more if I want to put even bigger tires on it. I may change my mind, but I tell you, it's looking good up there. With the chassis and the Pinto side by side, I could see we're up against a few major issues. Look at the wheelbase. It's way off. I know that Pinto's 94-inch wheelbase, and this thing's bigger than 94 inches, guaranteed. 3 foot, 6 foot, 9 foot. I don't know, 9 times 12, that's a lot of numbers. Definitely have to do some modification. Let's drop her down and see what she's got. Right there, you can clearly see something's hitting. Engine is much too wide. This Pinto came with an inline 4-cylinder engine. This truck has a big V8, so it's kind of like stuffing a 15-pound cat in a 2-pound mousetrap. I can clearly see 2 major issues. I don't want to see the valve covers under the freaking subframe. Secondly, look at the back of this frame. It looks like it's about 20 inches difference. I gotta say, there's a million reasons one might turn back on a project like this right now, forget all about it. But that is not the full custom way. We're gonna put on the blinders, focus on one task, and continue on. Time for the chassis reduction. I'm feeling positive. I've wanted to do this my whole life. Truly, I've wanted to do this since I was a little kid. The first drawings I used to make, I would draw 2 circles as close together as possible, and then I'd put a car body on it. That is clearly, the lightning in the bottle moment. So when you're a kid and something thrills you, that's real. So to trap that, save it, and then express it, that's where the magic happens. I've never done a 4-wheel drive before. This is my first 4x4. I can't wait to make a complete mockery of the whole scene and have a blast doing it. I've talked about all the things that I like about this project. It's time to talk about a few that I dislike. You look at the rocker panel of that Pinto right below the door, what do you see? A nice straight shot, a straight line, right? When you look at this chassis, that looks like some kind of sketch that I would do. It's all wiggly, it doesn't make any sense. In simplest terms, I'm trying to get rid of that dip-to-dip in the bump, shoo-wop, shoo-wop. So what I want to do is I want to set up 2 rails across the top here. So I'm going to temporarily weld it in up here, and it'll clamp here. So when I open this 20-inch section up, this comes forward, and I can build the new chassis underneath. There is a madness to this method, I got to tell you. So I have my reference point, end point, end point. So now I have to take this out, put it back on the rail. And we can roll this puppy straight ahead until it hits the point of reference. Now that I have all that lined up and established, locked in, I can take off the rest of the chassis and the piece of the cross member that I'm going to replace for the transmission. I mean, you've heard of the horse whisperer, or the dog whisperer, or whatever. I'm clearly the junk whisperer. And what this chassis is telling me is it wants to be the full custom mini monster truck Pinto. Love the smell of burnt Dodge in the evening. With every project, it's gotta drive. This one has a pretty powerful V8 engine. I want to make sure that this thing is in place structurally and then do the design work. Well, that was pretty straightforward, just a bunch of heavy metal. You can see the tube that I originally put in is still there. I coupled that with another one below, and then I added steel plate to create that C kind of frame. And in the end where the joint is, I just put this big fish plate, diamond shape, over the top. You see before, it was doing the dip. Didn't need that, it needs to be straight. And when I'm getting ready to jump this thing, I want it to be very secure. I really want to see what the body looks like, how far I can get this thing onto the chassis, but right now, this transmission has got no support. Look at this thing. This thing has got to weigh like 7,000 pounds, and there's nothing to hold it up. This whole mount was just worn. So I think I'm gonna get right to the good stuff. Now that's a large transmission mount. Before the creative envisioning begins, I gotta get all the structural elements in place, and this one's a little bit more involved. My plan is to create a transmission mount that attaches to my newly formed frame rails. We're just gonna use part of this because we're not trying to reinvent the wheel, we're trying to reinvent the transmission mount. And have I mentioned that this is the first 4-wheel drive vehicle I've ever fabricated on? You learn something new every day. Drive shaft comes out both ends. You can't put the cross member in like this because you can't put the front drive shaft on. What we need is a large ring for the drive shaft to pass through. And then we can weld it to the ring. Let's go find a ring. I've said it once, I've said it a million times. There's nothing like a big old pile of parts when you need it. And for me, that's just about every day. Immediately I thought of this ATV rim laying back here. Something about that diameter, but a very strong ring that the drive shaft could pass through, yet it's part of the transmission mount. You know, like the steering wheel is not strong enough. It's way too big. Like this bucket is about the right diameter, but it's too thin. Maybe this CO2 bottle. These are really strong, thick-walled, and it's about the diameter what I'm looking for. Now, I've cut the bottom off these a million times. They make really good wind chimes when you hang them up. Hear that? Every time I'm walking around back here, you know, I have a general idea of what I have, but their applications vary. So if it looks like a lawn chair, you know, it could be a speedboat. If it looks like a dumbbell, it could be the guy who owns the property. I mean, if it looks like a steering wheel, it could be a ring toss game. I don't know. I'm just building cars here. Help me out. So maybe I'll just take a section out of that. It's a starting point. The worst thing I can do is take it back to the shop and it won't work, right? Bottom line is, I always find something, you know, whether it works or not, that's debatable. Don't try this at home. I mean, I know this one's empty, but if you try to cut one of these with some gas in there, you'd be in for an event, I'll tell you what. Of course, the shop inspectors are nowhere to be found when there's a potentially dangerous situation. I guess I should just consider myself lucky. Okay, drive shaft passes through it, okay? So now I can proceed with my mount as planned. It'll allow the drive shaft to be installed as it should be, and this car should be able to drive up and over anything in its way. Everything so far is pure guesswork. That's why the chassis is in its developmental stage. You know, I still got some details in the front to finish. I want to refine the transmission hanger, but until you put that body on, anything could happen. I don't know what I did wrong yet. I did a little hacking in here, and you can see this car's got a little off-road experience already. It's good news. I'm gonna keep the car raised up a bit, about 6 inches off of the chassis, just so I can figure out what needs to be cut away to bring them together. Touchdown. Now, before you get all judgmental on my Frankenstein concept, just work with me. You know, beauty takes time. You're gonna get the message. I just gotta set up the pieces. And that looks appropriate, actually. I tell you, that wheelbase looks spot on. So the tire and the wheel well are pretty much what I want to see. I love those aluminum wheel moldings. That makes it look like a Pinto. I don't want to modify anything on a Pinto body, so it should look like a toy car perched up on top of a Tonka truck chassis. That's what I'm going for. Once I get this whole thing in the shop, I can begin trimming it down and slowly lower it. You know, get those wood blocks out of there, get the body where it belongs. It's starting to look like the Alabama Slammer, one of them trucking trials out in the mud bog. She's a big one. This is where I'm headed. Getting 20 inches out of that chassis sealed the deal. Nothing can stop us now, except maybe the next step. The dreaded moment is upon us, the official inspection. And I gotta say, these two, they don't really hang with the kooky of the concept. These guys have never seen a car or truck lifted this high. Usually they're low, you know, they could just step right into it. He's totally perplexed. He's like he's never been able to stand under a car before. Come on, get in a truck. The body's not mounted yet. Yes, the fender opening does not match the wheel diameter. Yes, the body is quite a bit off of the frame, but it's all gonna come together. Curiously enough, they're not reacting too negatively. The fact that dude could walk under this car, that's a first for sure. So I think he's kind of like, what, where's the project? In the end, it was a lot more cutting than I expected. To get this body down on the chassis, I did a whole bunch of hacking and whacking and torching and cussing and spitting. It's gonna affect the gas pedal, placement, and yeah, you can see that. Now there's concern. I know. And here we go. The chief inspector always gets up in arms, very vocal, whenever we have to get involved with some severe structural modification. I know, it's a mashup for sure. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's not the safest thing in the world. It's going to be a little top heavy. No, the neighbors aren't gonna be concerned with what we're doing out here. We're not racing, we're not jumping, we're not crushing cars. We go through this every time. I mean, can I get a little bit of gratification from the start? Just anything, any vote of confidence? Whoa. He might go kicking and screaming, but in the end, he's gonna thank me. I have a plan. Definitely don't want that stock bumper, so it's a full custom opportunity. Something that really just shows off, you know, the line of the Pinto sheet metal instead of this big add-on safety bumper. But this thing's gotta be, shoot, I don't know, 10 inches top to bottom. You know, it brings me back to the Volkswagen. You ever see those bugs from the 60s where they had the little overrider over the bumper? I think that's where I want to start, just to see how that feels. The two angles represented, you know, definitely match the Pinto. You know, you're coming in straight across. Actually, that's kind of cool. Look at that. Wow, what if it actually had this bumper to protect the taillights? That would be pretty aggressive. I also needed something to support the rear of the body, so I was thinking about taking a tube up, down to the chassis, and just out here would be the mounting point for whatever bumper I create. I think the great mockery is about to be, mock-up is about to begin. Another cool addition to the shop is this unit from Multi-Tool. This machine is super multifunctional. It's got different belts, different surfaces. You can actually tilt the machine into different positions. It takes the bench grinder to like exponential levels higher. Question's how high, how wide. You know what it's about, all the envisioning, where you set back and check it out. That's what I'm talking about. Usually when I don't know what the heck I'm doing, I put something in place and then move on. All about the stick it and move technique. I was trying to just do something to fill in this space, but I felt it would look too bottom heavy, you know, like somebody with a terrible underbite, like, oh, look what he did. But instead I'm gonna build a huge facade to make it like it never even happened. Big Band-Aid on a small wound. Works every time. I have these bends left over from another project. I like it. All I'm gonna do is just change the whole concept. You know, in the conceptual stage of things, one must free their mind, like a buoy in the ocean, untethered, floating wherever fate takes you. Hopefully, that's not out to sea. Big Band-Aid definitely turned into something. I don't know what it is yet, but it's something. I like where this is headed, but I feel like that's sticking straight down. I'd like to see this tucked in. We're using finesse, we're using style, we're using fire. I know whatever tubing structure I come up with, it'll protect, but it's gotta look real cool. Look at that. See what I'm talking about? Couple support pieces and this train is moving down the line. What I want to see here is a cap. You know, maybe there's a trailer hitch you step off and then you got this that you can kind of perch on. What I want is a perch. And I don't mean a fish, I mean like a step. There is a hint of the post-apocalyptic vibe with this ride, so yeah, I mean, showing off a little raw metal work, it would fit the bill. Yeah, something like that. Going in for some grub. Yeah, right? You got a little rail and a step. It's the whole concept here. Looking at this rear bumper, it really helps the shape of the car. The Pinto's kind of diamond shaped. It goes on the roof, goes down the sides, hits the taillights, comes back under. The bumper follows that shape. You know, I really, at the beginning of the day, didn't know what I was building. I like this idea. It's kind of a weird, abstract bench on the back. Perfect. I'm gonna carry that theme over to the front and then see how they work together. I gotta say, my mini monster truck is getting bulked up and ready for prime time. On to the next. I am feeling good about the bumper project. I got this rear bumper right where I need it. I was surprised. It was not really thought out until I got into it. Worked out well. In keeping with the same flavor, moved up to the front and I put something super heavy duty. Something that looks like it's like that hey Kool-Aid kind of guy bashing through the wall. You know, cartoon style, right? Followed these shapes in the grill. See, I peeked these out a little bit more in the center, a little less, so it's like it grew a big lower bumper. Looked like two really separate pieces, the chassis and the body, but these two components, you know, the fabrication makes it all come together. Ultimate monster truck? Probably not. Super cool custom vehicle? Maybe. There's still that big issue in between the tires. You're looking right at just this plate, and I think it could use something more. Think about taking some of this stuff, putting it in this general area. It's not really rocket science, it's just tube bending and some clean design. I suggest you give it a try sometime. I tried this at home and I was very satisfied. And it's all led to this, so get yourself a bender. It's good exercise. It's good for your hands. You, give it a try. You can do it. See that? How are you feeling about it? I'm feeling pretty good. I'm gonna weld that sucker right on there. If you want to talk about 1977 Burt Reynolds drinking a beer, crashing across state lines, this is the rig for you. He's ever present. He's watching over everything. That's kind of what Frank does over there in the corner. He never says a word. You just look at him and think, hey, Ian, are you sure you're going to be able to get into this thing? In my old age, I don't know, it's gonna be tough. I mean, all kinds of stuff could go wrong. I think it's gonna need something a little bit different. I feel like I wanna, you know, when I'm coming up to this, like I wanna grab something. This car came with a roof rack, but it no longer is there. You got 2, 4, 6, 8 mounting holes. Why not just make another roof rack? Be super secure, it grips the whole top of the car, 2 rails you can grab onto. And then we surely won't be able to get the car out of the shop door with this thing installed. It'll be awesome. This process is pretty simple. Square it up, weld it together, throw it on the roof, put on your gear and head to camp. Look at that. Symmetry. And now we figure out how deep's the basket gonna be? Is it gonna be 10 feet deep? No, that won't even fit in the shop. Is it gonna be 10 inches deep? How do you feel? Too tall? I agree, too tall. I want that basket 5 inches deep. Let's start with 8 of these and see how it looks. I don't know, let's just throw it up there and see what we got. Like a wise man once said, be prepared, right? So the roof rack is a standard issue on so many off-road vehicles. Also helps a little should you roll over. This is a keeper. All I can say is it fits the bill. Everything on this accessory-wise is round tube. This is a smaller diameter than the heavy bumpers. It looks perfect up there. I have yet to hear the engine run, so if you know my track record, you know that there could be trouble ahead. This is what the desert is all about, freedom. You know, that's what I'm building here, a freedom machine. Spirited adventures across the great beyond. My friend Dave is a hardcore Dodge guy. He came by with his bad to the bone Ram Charger rock crawler. What a blast. This thing is geared super low, so it's just got a ton of bottom end. Gear up high, it's got big spongy tires. I mean, that's the spice of life of living out here, you know? Wild and free, just jamming around, unshackled by the law, by the grips of society. That's exactly the fire I needed to get this project burning. I love it. Love this thing.
Thanks.
I mean, the flavor of this is exactly why I'm building that Pinto.
You know, I've been building it for about 2 years. It's still not finished, it's still a work in progress.
First time I ever saw this truck, I was like, whoa, this guy knows what he's doing. You know, the roll cage is the first hint at that. Low budget, kind of high tech in all the right places, and this thing's a ripper. I'm doing a lot of tubing fabrication on this, try to do something creative and cool with all different tubes.
I love the roof rack.
You know, I'm starting to rethink this whole project. This car actually looks really good at this height. Take this thing and chop the top a little bit, put some freaking 13-inch wide rims on it.
Nice little wide body kit.
Yeah, what am I doing? I'm always tempted by the whole low and slow vibe, you know? I think that's really where my heart is. But, you know, I gotta say, there's nothing like the untried.
I think we should keep it up in the air.
Driving around in that rig, that got the juices flowing. All right, now I don't want you to be alarmed. It's a little bit strange looking.
I can see the vision.
Yeah. It's great to have Dave here. He's well-versed with these old Dodges, and he swears we can get it to run. He told me it ran well when parked, but it was sitting for a while. Why was it parked, John?
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
Yeah,
oh, it's such an awesome truck. So I just parked it. Uh-huh. I got all this cool stuff from Speedway. Got this distributor, I got a carb, I got an alternator, plugs, wires, etc. Always trying to hedge my bets on this engine running scenario. You know, I like to replace all the accessories when I can. I can work on engines, I understand it, but I just don't like it. It's like, you know, the little kid and he's got to eat his Brussels sprouts. You got to choose your battles. You know, I wage my war with the envisioning process. The mechanics are very, like, pretty much as long as it has a go pedal and a stop pedal, that's as deep as I'm into it.
Engines are my thing.
I mean, that's the coolest thing about finding people who like the mechanical aspect of it because they get into that, right? Troubleshoot this, address it, you know, I can dig it. I don't know if this is gonna stay here permanently, you know, with ratchet straps, but it's a start. We got carburation. Woohoo! We got starting. This is when it always gets exciting. Fire extinguishers right there. Hoping for the best, but always preparing for the worst.
It's gonna start.
That's what the guy said the last time he parked it. I'm not one to immediately whip out the camera, but I'm also never gonna miss the opportunity for some high drama. All right, don't be nervous, it's all you. All eyes on you, Dave. You know, I'm usually the one with the camera pointed at me when something could go wrong. What? I was just giving him some sass, you know, tension's high. Nothing like just stirring the pot a little. It's a runner. I gotta say, I've heard a lot of engines run, and this is on par with the rest of my half-baked ideas. Is it gonna win some races? Probably not. Is it gonna overheat? Maybe. Is it gonna keep running? We hope so. I mean, it's the typical smoky start that you get from something that's been sitting, but what a relief.
It's Dodge. They always run.
That's really all I needed to hear. You know, a successful engine ignition really frees my mind up to figure out the rest of this thing. Still a few nuts to crack, a few bolts to twist, a few welds to weld, and then we ride. This is my favorite part of the project, when it really starts to get weird.
I'm all ears.
Thinking of a paint job, something I'll really take this into the unknown territories. My friend Alan lives just down the road, and he's seen this mini monster truck's progression. I think he's got a perfect set of eyeballs and two good hands to help me with this next step. So I'm thinking about the 70s, as usual. That's nothing new. If you were to draw some lines on this car, you're thinking outlaw stuff, you're thinking race car stuff, you're thinking the general vibe of the 70s. I mean, what would you want to do paint-wise on this?
Definitely need some flavor in there.
Yeah, it looks like Grandma's grocery getter, right?
Yeah.
I want something that really pops.
What colors are you thinking?
See that sign on the wall? Come in for a cool treat, right? Represents the color wheel pretty good. So
It really does.
those are the options we're dealing with. Something that
Loving it.
really stands out. It's a bit of color theory, if you will. Any kind of commercial, in-your-face signage will have contrasting colors. And that's one to grow on. Say it's 1978, right? This car's a year old, and you're wanting to like give it a little bit of action with the paint job.
Graphics were simple, but it made the cars look so much cooler. It could be 3 lines in it and it would look so cool.
3 lines. That's a start.
3 lines is a start.
I like that. See? You're working already. Let's put 3 lines on it.
Working with Dean creatively, I love it because he's open, you know? He's not one of them people that think they know it all and his idea is the only way. You have an idea, you bring it to the table, it's game.
Here, check this out. It's a new technique I just came up with. This is the old extension cord technique.
I do mentally prepare myself before I come. You know, I got to work on this with this. It's amazing the things we can do with regular household items, you know, stuff that everybody can do.
Right, our old side trim was here, so that's pretty much a good starting point for the center of this graphic. The door handle, I think, is in the right spot, but drop that just a bit. So it look at that right there. It parallels
right there.
the trim on the window.
There you go, and now that fits the radius with equal spacing. I think it's electrifying.
Alan was a little bit weirded out the first few times, but I think he's fallen into swing. Sometimes this extension cord will give you a different view of things, man. We need to step back on this. Let's try it with a tape. On the onset of every task, you know, I'm always looking for that one little spark, the one little gripping point to start from. Sometimes it's that simple. Oh, I like how you just kicked it up hockey stick style right off the back of that. Just. You nailed it from the door handle back. But like, what if instead of coming down to here, I just crept it up a little? So this would be the top of our top line.
Whoa, I think you hit it right there.
So if that's the first line, then where's the second? Is it straight back? Is it straight through? It's gotta work, it's gotta flow. You hear that so many times, but it's immediate when it doesn't work, right? So you're looking for that sweet note. All right, so this one kind of comes right through there, like that, right? This exact process is what I thrive on in working with someone, you know? It's like, no bad ideas, no good ideas, just a process. Let's work together and figure this out.
Once we start seeing different lines laid down on the car, you know, you just naturally fall in love with one, and that's how we roll. We know what we want, we know what style, what era, and we roll with that.
Oh yes. See, that's weird, and it's cool. The center tape is kind of bugging me, but I love the one hitting the roof rack, and I love the one hitting the bottom of the hatch. What if we sprayed white right through there? You know, kind of like the Starsky and Hutch thing. Let's just do one big white swath through it and see what that looks like.
I love it, let's do it.
It's really hard to mess with old original stuff, you know? This has been aging gracefully since 1977, and here we are wanting to apply something new to it and make it match. You know, I thought that maybe not using a gloss auto paint would help us kind of blend the two.
I'm thinking about all these candies and all these paints, and I want him to order for me, and then I get here and he gives me 3 rattle cans, and he's like, here you go, man, go for it. And I'm like, where are we going with this?
Let's see what it does. Hit it.
And we're off.
We're in a frenzy of tape and masking. It's kind of like when you gotta hit it, you gotta hit it, and that's where we're at right now. The only trick that I have is keep looking at what he's doing and try to keep up. I just want to see what this looks like. Could be cool, could be a creamsicle, I don't know.
Ooh, look at these lines.
That's pretty cool. It's a good contrast, that's what I was hoping for. That really changed it.
Makes it look sporty. It gives it that big boy, tough boy look.
Now that we took the blue tape off, it's like it's missing something. You know, the blue color really added to that. You know, imagine like a border, right? All of a sudden, it's starting to look like that ambulance in the Cannonball Run.
And I think if we did a decent sized blue line on the bottom and then at the top, pinstripe it with 2 little blue lines.
Oh, now you're getting even fancier. I like that.
I like fancy a little bit.
This is a pretty simple layout, too. Imagine those lowrider paint jobs where you have all of this negative represented in various colors. Sometimes this is white, and sometimes it's orange. And sometimes the green is orange, and sometimes the blue is orange, but also the blue could be white, depending on where it is.
You lost me in all that.
Yeah. Names are hard to come by, you know? When you find one that sticks, it's really gratifying. Well, there was a great mystery since I got this Pinto. On the back panel there, it said P71. And I'm thinking, I gotta find out. So sure enough, I put it on Google. What does P71 stand for? And it says P71 is a prefix in the Crown Victoria police car VIN code. Why is it on a Pinto? I don't know. My wife, Jamie, she said, it's the Pinterceptor. That's why. Hats off, milady. You win. The Pinterceptor. Perfect.
Right, the Pinterceptor. It's evil, it's sweet.
I'm wondering about that new ink, man. I don't know who you're hanging out with, but that looks pretty profound.
Last year, I was given an opportunity to work with Gene Winfield. I've been out here for a year helping Gene. He was my dad's hero. My dad is a custom car builder. I said, Gene, sign my arm. He's like, why? I said, because I'm gonna get it tattooed. And he looked at me and said, you're stupid. I loved it. It was priceless. There it is, 2021, 93 years old.
Yeah.
Still doing it.
It's like Christmas Eve. We got all the presents wrapped up. In the morning, we'll see what we got. While we're waiting for the Masked Monsters paint to dry, I'm going to engage Alan's other talents, some of the metal forming skills. One of the things this vehicle is lacking is a dashboard, and I got an idea to handle that situation. I've been saving this piece of sheet metal for whatever reason, because look, it was laying outside under the gutter, and it made this perfect like splash drip pattern from all the rain we've been having.
What I'm learning every day is be surprised.
If this one on the driver's side of the dash, you'd have this kind of weird rusty patinaed orange effect on the dashboard, right?
That's right, almost looks like a rusted sun.
Yeah, right. It's just keeping with the au naturel theme, you know? Dashboard, smorgasbord.
He's got this build in his head. He wants to build this awesome car. I know it's gonna be great at the end, so I'm never worried or never scared. And we do whatever it takes to make it that way.
And then it's gonna go down where this thing fits on, and then it's gonna hem edge under to give it some strength. Style I'm going for with the dashboard on this is minimalist. I got an old piece of sheet metal and some kind of piece from an old pickup truck. Might as well just make something handmade.
He's trying to prove that you can work with, you know, things that are affordable to anybody and make something great and fun. That's what I think separates him from a lot of builders, you know what I mean? Is that he doesn't think he knows it all, he just loves doing it. He loves that everybody else loves doing it.
Sweet, look at that. Does that look like a dashboard to you? Looks like a dashboard to me.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's mark it at 55. Yeah, right to the edge of that block.
Woo, look at that thing there.
I think we're ready for the door test, man.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, see how it works right here?
Wow, look at that. What are you gonna do about this windshield?
As is, baby, bullet holes. It was out in the wasteland. It met up with some rogue travelers, popped a few rounds at it. The Pinterceptor is bound to have bullet holes.
You know it. This thing looks like it's been through some action.
Once the gauges arrive, I'll install them, wire it up, and this dash will be a dashing example of instrument readout. I gotta say, dashboards are fun, but the idea of what's lurking beneath this paint mask, I'm ready. I was born
You ready? I was born ready
I was
too.
ready before the paint even dried.
Hey, me too.
Let's see what it looks like. You know, unmasking a car is kind of like the great trek up the mountains in the fog. You never know really where you're heading. Are you at the apex, or are you just at the beginning of another climb? Oh man, look at that top line, dude.
Yeah.
I gotta say, man, I think your double line's a winner.
In the moment, the pressure does come to me. A little bit nerve-wracking because we're working with rattle cans. Good work doesn't just happen. You got to make it happen.
Yeah, these colors are. It's looking kind of like the orange dreamsicle. We just wanted to make a nice, simple graphic, and it puts a nice flow right through the car. Simple, effective.
Way cool.
I needed this paint job nailed. I got a couple things to detail, and this is ready to rock. I can hear the great beyond beckoning. Our first desert Pinto cruise is just around the corner.
No, I can't wait. I cannot wait.
This mini monster truck is ready to rock. Time to show Alan what I've been up to.
Wow. Holy for holy, man. No, wow. Well, look at it. Look at the size of these tires.
Yeah, it's a giant toy truck, right? Alan's really been an asset in all these projects lately, and this one was the same deal. You wouldn't expect to see 40-inch tires fit a Pinto, but there you go, it works, right?
And look good.
Yeah.
Wow. Just wow. It's taller than I am.
Takes the economy car to the next level. I'm very satisfied with the look of this. It's exactly the cartoon proportions I was looking for. It's like something you'd see in a comic strip. It's the Pinterceptor.
It's the Pinterceptor.
It's got the lights, it's got the authority. This is the regulator of the Wild West. Once we establish the name, I want to bring the full Pinterceptor feeling to the vehicle. Something that was out to get the bad guys, smash through whatever it needed to, light up what it needed to, and ultimately bring the law and order back to the Outback.
Face of this thing looks so aggressive. It looks like it's coming at you and it's angry and it's smiling at you because it's about to eat you up.
But then as big a truck as this is, it's still a Pinto inside. Check out the dashboard. Got 5 gauges, got some switches, got a little ashtray. I put an ashtray in because, I don't know, I guess in the post-apocalyptic world, you might need a cigar. I have one guilty confession.
What's that?
I actually built the entire project just for the PA system. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Pinterceptor!
Woo!
It's time to let it boogie.
Let's do this.
Got a nice little low note. Seeing it sitting there is one thing, but driving it is a whole other can of worms.
Woo! Wow! Dude, it was the coolest thing. It sounds so loud. It's crazy.
You know, I don't know what a mini monster truck would feel like, but this thing is something for sure. It's kind of like a bucking bronco.
Watch out!
It's like you're on the top of a fishing boat. It feels like it might flip over at any moment.
Just bouncing all over the place.
With the paint, I carried the Pinterceptor graphic up onto the roof. It's something that Alan and his wife designed. Worked out perfect. My kick is just exploring all different versions of building cars. I've built them low, built them weird, built them cool, and this one is definitely out there. My favorite thing about this is me driving up like a clown and everybody going, "What's wrong with that guy?" Kicks up a little dust. Runs better than I hoped, man. You gotta check this out. So I told Alan, hey, saddle up, partner. Hop in that rig and see what it can do.
All right. Yeah, being inside, driving it, let me tell you, it was a lot more comfortable than I thought it was gonna be.
Watch the shrubbery. Hey.
It was a little bouncy, but as far as driving it, was super comfortable, felt solid.
You just see this thing, you don't even see the tires, you just see this machine coming over the bushes. So stupid. It's awesome.
Woo! Felt like a jumping jelly bean up in the air. That was fun. That was fun.
It's just super satisfying to just bring a whole bunch of stuff together, you know, kind of on a whim and end up with this really awesome project. It's just got me all amped up to build some more crazy stuff.
I couldn't wipe the smile off my face. It was so much fun. Dude, great job all the way around. Wow.
By the way, I like your choice of hats.
Thank you.
Man, at 7 years old, if I could build the craziest Pinto, because remember, in 1977, the year this Pinto was born, I was 7 years old. What goes around comes around.